Dirty Pop, new episode, Dirty Pop.
Another episode of Dirty Pop.
Hello, boys and
This
girls.
is probably gonna be more dirty than pop.
No, actually, this might be my most positive.
Poppiest pop yet.
Perhaps the Honorable Brad White here to represent Wandavision, known as the accused.
Oh,
A little bit. No, so Wandavision series finale, and I wanted to title this episode "Destiny Arrives All the Same" because I think when I had realistic expectations for this show before they started their press tour and before Kevin Feige, did his smoke blowing, ass blowing tour and all the silliness.
Did you mean to play it? Sorry, I was playing that.
Oh, please do.
Probably not.
Perfect.
I don't know if that was audible, but that was stand up.
Yeah, everybody knows that's
and who knows? I would hope. Should I hope that we can get enough views that we could get a copyright thing? I mean, that was only like 5 seconds.
That's 5 seconds. That's fair use.
Fair use.
Sorry,
apologies if y'all couldn't hear that. It was Destiny Arrives All the Same Thanos voice. So.
Oh
yeah.
How we doing? Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. It's a little behind on Twitter. That works. So, I think this turned out to be, including the ending. Probably, if you would put a gun to my head, I said this is probably what I think they'll actually do. And this was a great final episode. I mean, great's a relative term. It was a lot of fun. It had some real pace.
It was the delivery on the promise.
It was fun. It was a fun ending to a show that, look, some of you, I've been thinking about this more. Some of y'all have really loved the sitcom parody thing, and it's brought some people a lot of joy. And so as much shit as I talk and as much of a rage monkey as I like to be.
King of the haters.
Oh, I'm the king of the hater nation. But if that brought you happiness, I'm glad they did it. Because there's plenty of things that I like better for what this was supposed, what this could be. In terms of comic book movies, whatever you shows, whatever you want to call them. There's more than enough stuff to serve me. So if this lets some people start to dip their toe in the MCU because they really liked just these parodies, these sitcoms that were so beloved. That's awesome. That's great. I've got no problem with it. So I guess what I want to do today is just hit some high notes for what happened in the series finale. Mostly things I liked, some things I thought were kind of kooky, and then I want to talk a little more about just what WandaVision was overall. And it's weird to be able to talk about what it was because this is I have no doubt I don't think there will ever be another WandaVision season.
Yeah, I didn't think there was. So we can maybe talk about that as well. I just want to say is my declaration. I think I worry sometimes about being negative, and I love Marvel. I love their content. They're the best at. It's not even to say they're the best of this doesn't even make sense because no one is even in the same cosmos as them with regards to producing this kind of content.
Well, what they're trying
with this expanded universe and like having stories that actually are connected. When you see things, you're like, man, I wish they would cross this thing over with this thing, and they just gotten where they do it pretty seamlessly for the most part. And we'll talk about that. It's maybe not as much as we think it is, or that we want to think it is. I love this stuff, and so to me, the criticism is more of like criticizing someone that's great at something when there's no one else in their league. So it's not like I'm not saying I'd rather see DC do this because they're kind of a joke with half the stuff they make. So
and I also want to talk about the subtle assholery of also acting like you're being magnanimous by saying bullshit like, "Look, for what this is." Like, no, dude.
To measure it as a series. Like,
and I think that quote about what is grief if not love persevering, I think that flushed out so many people's bullshit on honestly on both sides. On those that rabidly obsess over anything Marvel puts out and thinks they can do wrong, and then also the do no wrong, and then the fart sniffers that like if you're not dealing, if it's not Manchester by the Sea level of porn grief, then shit, man, why are you even making it? So let's
like
just
porn grief or grief porn.
Grief porn.
I feel like you can get very different there.
Grief porn. Which Manchester by the Sea, I love it, but it's grief porn.
It might also be porn grief. I don't know.
Okay, so let's
anyway, there are flaws. We talk about the flaws.
Big flaws.
But to me, the fact that I'm so invested in it, Tenosis says something already. So anyway, there are flaws. We're going to talk about them. So whatever. We're not negative Nancy's. We're just telling you.
Man, if people want to call me negative Nancy, they can. I didn't think this was like a great show. Like by any. Well, I'm not going to go for prestige TV versus this kind of TV for TV
because
I didn't think it was that good.
And I'm going to say in defense of myself, I want to judge them in the same way as I judge HBO series. They have the money. There's no reason they can't compete with them. Because I don't think just because you're telling comic book stories doesn't mean you can't tell a compelling dramatic story.
I don't. And I think they have been compelling at moments.
Reductive to say they can.
Oh, nice. Well, if you want to reduce me to my I like to work on classic cars, but no, I'm saying it's good for what it is. That's what, because I have a beef.
So dismissive.
I have a two-sided
really
beef
dismissive
with folks on both sides of this. So let's
on both sides.
Because I do not want it to get twisted. I do not think this is like a really good show. I think this is just fine, and I think it had a neat little Marvel ending with a lot of cool special effects. They clearly saved budget on what they didn't spend on Agnes's lair because they spent it all on this episode. So it was great. I thought it was a lot of fun. So let's just talk about this episode.
Let's just do it. Get into episode 9, series finale. So Agnes outkicked her coverage a little bit. She went up and slapped the dragon in the face and just one miscalculation after another, and she effectively taught her how she beat her. To be fair, though, she does have a power that really should have given her a major opportunity to win. I'm not really sure how you screw that up. You can just absorb the enemy's power. But
right. She kept screwing around with her. And then she also, like any good villain, explained to her how she had put her in that position, and then Wanda, just because Wanda's no dummy.
That was a cool aspect to see, even during their battle, Wanda picking up her. Because I guess it's more to reinforce it's all just natural. Like there is no training for Wanda. Like she just can do that. She can see it and just do it.
Now, what I'll say,
like the little teleporting thing. That was such a wild thing. That was so small. And like she just. Like,
did it.
I thought the same thing when Agnes said, okay, well, she's been a witch for hundreds of years and she's learned how to do this. Wanda just did it. Like, boy, that would have been, again, it's like with her, she just didn't even know what's possible.
Right.
So she sees it like, oh, I can do that then. Bang.
That was very cool. The thing that does not make any sense, why did Wanda even keep fighting with her all right.
She was baiting her. I don't get why.
Well, exhausting herself to skeleton version almost. I don't know why she didn't just hit the walls with the runes up.
Yeah,
the rest of it was just for us to be like, "Oh God, is she killing her?"
Maybe there's a reason we're not, but like I was thinking it during the times. I was like, she's rope-a-doping her. She's doing something because it was very obvious that she was like hitting the walls for a reason. And then
so maybe if all she does is hit the walls, she's gonna be like, "What are you doing?"
Like, hey, stop doing that.
Like, hey, are you ruining me? Are you ruining me? Okay, I'll let that pass. Good thing you've convinced me.
It's one of those situations where maybe it's the hard way to accomplish it, but it works. So whatever. Like there's a slicker way to do it.
No, there's some logic there. Then okay.
It's it's. I
thought they were Evan Petering me.
What's funny? The whole time I've been wanting to think about is she used like one of the things I love. One of my favorite scenes in Civil War is like Cap and Natasha, really specifically with her, like. Teaching her how to do things kind of like a spy. Like, you've got all this power, but can you, like, outthink your opponent? That opening scene when they're like, are you seeing this truck? You see what's going on over there?
Right.
She's like, guys, they have their fun little exchange, and Natasha's like, who said I'm paranoid? Did you hear something? Like, that whole deal. Yeah. But I think that's really cool because there's still something to be said for being able to be an operator and, like, to be able to get over on your opponent, like, and kind of outwit them. So I kind of thought that's maybe a cool aspect of her being around some people that aren't super powerful that kind of have to live that way. So you're
just looking for Russo threads and anything
I want to come back to Cap and Natasha and
all right.
Winter Soldier-esque Civil War.
I will say one of my biggest critiques.
It's a reach.
Because Agnes is one of my notes from this show. No, but I think it works. I still will. What they did in the last episode, where she literally just became someone from the writer's room.
Oh.
It was just, look, don't get me wrong. Every movie, all Marvel movies, there's gonna be some exposition.
Exposition dumps.
But when she was like, again, I can't let this go.
This is a major issue. I thought for series.
Baby witch with a mind stone. She's like, so folks, this is us retconning and making sure we have established her clear, linear a path to her powers. And I was like, God, this is cringy.
But so maybe I do want to talk about that as like a because that's to me a series issue. I want to talk about the series wrap up. So I thought the way they
thought they took it to another level.
I thought the entire series it was pretty like man. Sorry, I do want to talk a lot about that.
Okay, make a note. We'll come right back because my next thing is White Vision was so cool. It
almost in the face didn't really look like what was.
That snarl he had the whole time.
Was Bettany doing something weird with his face?
Man,
like, he didn't look exactly the same in the face.
No,
that was wild. I was like, I think it's just him. Like you said, there's a snarl. That was incredible. That was so cool.
Yeah, all the fight scenes with them battling. And then when Vision's tried to talk him down, and I request elaboration.
Like, yeah.
Like, my gosh, it's so cool.
I so appreciated that we didn't just get robots bashing each other. I thought it was, some people probably like, oh man, they're talking. I think it's like, these are AI. Like, that seems more natural to me that they would try to logically think their way through this.
Yeah, they're not just going to bash, and they're essentially the same creature.
And they know that. So, yeah.
Because he tried to grab him, he's all phased, and we tried, and I'll phase.
It out, yeah.
And they're just like, it was getting pointless. Oh, it's just so cool. Big shout outs to S.W.O.R.D for spending 5 years and probably at least $1 billion or more trying to recreate Vision, only to have he quit as soon as employee orientation was over. I'm talking years and a lot of investment. That son of a bitch, they gave him his little badge. He immediately sat down after a few hours for the first lunch. Said, I'm quitting. I've never quit a job that fast, and I've quit a few. And that was like, you could have timed his time there like a stopwatch. I thought it was hilarious. He didn't put in 2 weeks. He didn't do nothing. He just shot into the sky.
There actually should have been a reaction from Hayward. Like, wait, what? Like, seeing him just also where'd he go? So can we just say for a minute, he regained the memories of Vision.
Yeah.
And then he didn't be like, oh, I have to find Wanda. He's like, I'm out. So that's a little weird.
Well, here's what's interesting too. I thought Vision had no memories of anything before Westview.
The one we know that she created.
How did he restore older memories
because that was in the hardware. I think they're implying that like his memories were in the machine.
Well, so I guess we've established that Vision can activate
in this fake reality. He has basically the powers of the mind. He can use the Mind Stone basically.
He activated memories in White Vision that he doesn't even have.
They weren't his. Yeah, they belonged to the body, but he
wow. Okay. Cool.
I think that was the implication. Anybody is you want to comment
today, so I'm going to say that is.
If anybody wants to see, but I think he said something like that. I think he was like, "You've got the memories."
Yeah.
Because he was basically implying that the device they put in him, I think, was kind of like a
inhibitor.
Yeah, I think they were basically saying that like that thing was
inhibitors.
Yeah, so I think there was like a line of dialogue that basically kind of like, see we did.
Yeah.
But
you're helping them right now so much. You've made. I've had 2 big issues with continuity. You've fixed them both.
I just couldn't believe he was like, "Oh, with the love of your life." Okay, you're just gonna.
No, he was not. He's like, I got shit to do.
Like some bad stuff has happened. The last thing I remember is having my brain ripped out, so I gotta go.
I just got a bunch of years of memories.
Can I find Tony?
I'm solid white. Oh. What is happening? Can I find? Where is Tony? Which is probably a question we're going to be asking ourselves.
Okay, where's Natasha?
Yeah.
He's gonna find himself in a real short way.
White Vision should have been like, who's gonna be in the next movie?
He's like, I'm not cleaning this shit up.
And there's a sad joke that could be tacked on there too that I'll just leave off. But we need to do a State of Marvel at some point. All right, let's keep going through this show.
I think you mentioned the aerial battle.
God, it looked good. It looked good.
Did you mention Matrix Revolutions for a reason? I didn't know if you mentioned because it actually felt. It felt like, not meaning in a bad way. That way that that battle took place.
Oh, it felt like the "It Ends Tonight" scene.
Yes, very cool.
Actually, I think that's when I thought we might do the podcast last night. I tweeted out "It Ends Tonight." Boy, I'm excited for this new Matrix movie because they left. Anyway, so White Vision was awesome. Agnes bit off. She should have spent a little more time, a little less time winking, and a little more time, thinking about not telling her about her plan and runes.
seeing Wanda become like legit, which is cool.
Whoa!
I think
new outfit. It's cool.
Well, the only thing I really appreciate is that you've got some other characters. I think they really jumped the gun on like making them OP as hell, overpowered, OP as hell from the beginning. Captain Marvel, and it does a disservice to the character because it makes usually character development meaningless when you have like godlike powers from the get go. Which she's been really powerful, but she's way on another level. Which they also use the hardcore exposition dump to you're more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme now.
Got that in there.
Yeah. You've heard that term before.
Yes. Go see more.
You know what that is? So yeah, but like with her, I mean, we've been like many iterations like of film and seeing her to like we're just now seeing her as the real Scarlet Witch. Like I think I appreciated that. Like, okay, like she had to really some stuff had to happen for her to do this. And I kind of like. Does it feel like they're treating it like the Phoenix Force a little bit?
Oh, there was
kind of cool.
There was big Phoenix
I'm okay with that because I think they're probably not going to do Phoenix for a very long time.
It's funny. I saved this for overall, but what you're saying it really is a good segue.
Sorry,
just for a second. They're going to give the mutants a 100% clean entry into the MCU. That's the other thing I took away from this episode. I was like, we've never seen a mutant in any movie. Like they're not going to retcon anything. In fact, I think what they did with her in this, I think it was a very conscious decision. What they did with her in this season was to be like,
she's not.
Miracles are not. The miracles are gone. We killed Pietro. She is. We're not. We could say mutant if we wanted to. Please note, we have not called her a mutant once.
I think she's not a mutant.
She's not a mutant.
She's never going to be a mutant.
No, never going to be a mutant. So I think this
and I think recent comics have actually retconned. Have actually gone another retcon to say that she's actually not a mutant.
Didn't they even? Okay, we need a better word. Didn't they even go back and rewrite that Magneto's not her father?
I think maybe. Yeah.
Which just whatever, man. Just
leave
it. Stop.
So, yeah.
But anyway, so there's not much to say there other than
maybe we can come because I do want to talk more about just general how they're going to use set up and what they're going to introduce or not. But so for this episode, one of the big takeaways, I really liked the episode. The action was. And it's not just about the action; it was compelling. Like, man, this was some of the last two episodes have been the only real moments of like extreme emotion of most for me for the series, and like the ending was pretty shocking, and a little gut wrenching. Well,
it was hard to watch and gut wrenching, but also it pissed me off because like, how much mileage are you trying to get out of killing Vision?
Boy,
this is the third time you've done it, and like it's very lazy in a lot of ways because. They're one of the few people. What? Well, they're one of the few people that have an emotional connection. By the way, something like this would have been very helpful, but done if it could have been done before Infinity War, because I had a much stronger emotional connection to them and their story. Obviously, by the end of this, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't give much of a shit.
It didn't have a big impact
in Infinity War when either one of them got killed.
Like it's sad. It's like, I like Avengers.
I like Avengers, but like Vision is just still that dude who he doesn't say much.
I was way more torn up seeing Tony by it.
I think a lot of people were. I get,
but because we had so much invested in him.
But even like seeing Bucky, get snapped. Obviously, Spider-Man. Gamora was super. And again, I'm talking about Infinity War. I'm talking about in-game.
Yeah, because Spider-Man hadn't really.
Gamora was rough, but I spent time with her, and so like, it would have been nice if they could have done this. And I know that's silly. I'm not being critical of them by saying this because I don't know how logistically you would have pulled it off. But I think there's a universe where they have Disney Plus, but before they have to do Infinity War and Endgame, and I think those deaths hit much harder. Because of anyway, that's not a critique. It happened the way it happened.
That could even change because if you could see Falcon and Winter Soldier go on a buddy cop tour before they both get dusted, that's like, I was pretty. You're right with Bucky and Sam, seeing them both go, it's like, oh, geez, like you totally feel Cap's devastation. So that's a good point. Yeah,
Black Panther was tough, and you've seen him now quite a bit in 2 movies. So, okay,
but yeah, so. Things that didn't really, I think one of the main takeaways is things that didn't come to fruition, which I'm not even being critical about this. Some of this is the fault of people who are YouTube content.
Well, is this your overall critique? Because I want to finish
this episode. Well, it's hard to say. Some of it's like it's a lot of it's. All right. How about we can get into overall? I'll do critique of how it's covered. in terms of just the episode,
do it.
So Ralph, there's actually a lot of debate on what this was actually revealed to be. I mean, there really was no reveal. Like
it was Ralph Wiggum.
The implication was he's Ralph Boner and he lived in Westview.
Wait a minute, that's Ralph? That's Ralph.
He was Ralph. And even his headshot said Ralph Boner on it.
Because she kept saying her husband was Ralph.
Yeah.
So many YouTube theorists are just so like.
Now, some people are saying that I actually said last, I was like, well, he pretty much has to be the witness. Well, to me, the evidence is that he laughed.
So you need to set that for everybody because I guarantee you right now, except for like a few hardcore fans, I did not remember anything about a witness in protection in this show.
So Jimmy, when we first meet him in episode 4, when Monica goes sitting out there, in episode 4, when you get when you get the background, she meets him at the edge of Westview, and he's like, "Well, I was here because I had a witness protection, and they've kind of gone off the map, and we're trying to figure out what happened to them." We know pretty quickly, like, oh, well, they've gotten sucked into Westview, and this thing's like doesn't even exist, basically. So
yeah,
that's why. So we didn't really get any resolution to that. There was no clear answer given to who his witness protection person was. I think there's a lot of debate on whether or not it was Ralph. I think it's odd that he laughed at his own last name of Boner.
Well, but Boner's the name you laugh at it because he was.
If it's his own last name, do you laugh at it? He was still in character,
right. He was still Quicksilver.
Maybe, Pietro, as she calls him.
That pisses me off. Damn you, Evan Peters, for agreeing to do that.
Oh well, shit!
Damn you.
Paid.
All right, anyway, let's keep.
So I think the odd thing is that like they're just the Ralph thing. We know who he was. I think it's hilarious. We can talk more about. He sure as hell wasn't Mephisto. I couldn't be happier about that. That's what's funny. I couldn't be happier about that. So I will dunk a little bit. I'm not going to name anybody, but I will dunk a little bit on people on that one. Even though we were just talking about how I don't want to dunk on people, but I'll make an exception for Mephisto.
What is it? This is dunk on people. Dunk. I don't. People that thought Mephisto was going to be introduced in WandaVision, or look,
probably ever.
He's not ever getting introduced,
but especially in a show. Right, like,
and if he does, he's going to be so
Blade,
far from what
Ghost Rider. Like, it's not going to be.
Yeah, it's not going to be Westview WandaVision anyway.
So then there's the witness protection thing is weird. They just left because, like you said, we're not coming back to WandaVision. There's not going to be another series.
I just don't care.
So are we going to get back into it when we see him again in like Ant-Man? Like,
who?
Jimmy Woo's witness protection person? Like, we'll see him again probably in the next Ant-Man.
I don't think
I doubt it.
Dude,
what was the point?
I think anyway, it's just something that got stuck in the. I think it was so Marvel could turn around and go, ha, it was never Quicksilver from the Fox acquisition.
The protection thing, though.
Yeah, but I mean,
that was just left. I mean, forget about the Ralph thing.
Don't care.
Well, we can, like, I'm not even talking about the Ralph thing, just the witness. Anyway, I'll stop saying witness protection. I've said it about 30 times now.
Just do WitSec.
So multiverse. No presents yet. No presents on the multiverse. Womp womp. Yeah, we didn't get any.
You and I have had some fun debates. People that have this big. I know there's a movie coming called Multiverse. I get it. They are not going to do. They're just not going to start spinning off multiverse after multiverse. Right. It's not
because I keep forgetting. Like, I love the Marvel movies, and I think the reason they're so successful is because of the way they do these things. You hear time travel heist movie, you think, oh my god, they're going to do crazy. They did time travel in the most basic, the safest possible way they could have. And this is not knocking. I love Endgame, but they didn't go wild with it. They showed you we have a mechanism. Boom, we're in the past. We get the stones. Boom, we're back. Like, there's no wild stuff. There's no people disappearing, turning.
Don't knock it. I prefer that. I am Back to the Future guy. Do not knock Back to the Future.
I like the multi-timeline
because what they did basically means nothing we do in the past really has any effect.
Well,
whatever.
It gives you a Loki show. So
it does give you a Loki show, and that Loki show will be very
it'll be somewhat contained within that show, though. I think now that I'm starting to understand, they're not gonna bleed this into.
What was the show that we watched? It was so good. They traveled. They never could get back to their reality.
Sliders.
You're gonna get Loki Sliders. That's. If Marvel ever does much with the multiverse, except for some maybe cool visually stimulating, mind-bending shit in Doctor Strange, which sometimes is just visually mind-bending for the sake of visually mind-bending. As somebody told me the other day, like, why are those buildings flipping over? And I'm like, I don't know.
Because Inception was cool.
It'll be a show
for me.
Yeah, Loki, I think, is going to be if Loki was the lead in Sliders, and that's something I want to watch.
But would you agree that it's probably going to be contained within that series? Like, it's not.
Well, that's to me my overall discussion is I think everybody better way temper their expectations of multiverse. Feige's full of shit because he wants when he goes around saying that these are it's all connected, it's all connected. What he's really saying is, please, dear God, watch these shows on Disney.
Disney really needs us to get subscribers up.
Yeah, and somebody that I follow on Twitter talks a lot about this is like the press tour that Disney went on and Feige and the way they talked about this show and the Disney Plus shows.
Bettany's big.
A lot of this they brought on themselves. Mm-hmm. They said improv. They said anyway.
We'll get cameo. I mean, I got to give Bettany a little bit of credit because that is majorly.
That's awesome.
Majorly trolling. I mean, that is.
He said he never. Oh yeah, I've never acted with myself.
Well, I heard the quote again. It's someone who's acting something like I trust implicitly, and I'm like, oh my God, he basically said it.
That was the coolest reveal of the whole series was Paul Bettany.
So,
but anyway, I finish my folks. My little things about this episode.
So, Doctor Strange. No Doctor Strange. Not even. We did get a mention of Sorcerer Supreme, and that is it.
God, there's people that thought we were going to get John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. There's people that thought we were getting Doctor Strange.
It's wild.
And all we got was
So we'll come back. I mean, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but like, yeah, like we could get Photon or I think Spectra maybe.
Well, no, that's not her name. So I love Monica.
Monica Rambeau.
It's not Monica Rambeau. It's Monica Jell-O because that's her power is to turn to Jell-O. She's not actually going to stop a bullet, but she's
turned into light.
But she's going to slow it down. What looked like Jell-O. And here's what's hilarious.
If those kids exerted like electromagnetic force on it.
I don't want to hear it. Okay. If those kids I'm sure that's right. It looked like it was moving through liquid. And if those kids had been standing closer to her back, they'd be dead.
Well, she didn't know that Billy basically had Neo. He's in.
Well, she better be glad because what is her silly little power?
Again, could have outrun it.
Is her power that bullets can go through me?
She can manipulate the entire electromagnetic spectrum.
It just reminded me of the Family Guy Aquaman skit where someone's being attacked on the beach, and he's like, "If y'all could just come 5 feet more down, just come 5. I can do something about it."
Why is Hayward shooting at children? Can we just?
They're not okay. That's my final thing I'll talk about. Hayward is a saint and a hero. Well,
I'll do. My next topic was Hayward versus Wanda.
I had Monica,
who's the bigger villain.
I had Monica Jell-O in my notes.
I mean, look, her powers are ill-defined because it makes it easy for them to let her do things when they need her to do them.
She's lucky those kids have powers that they'd be dead.
Well, he shot in the middle.
Let me jump in front.
What was he aiming at?
If things go through you, then
what was he aiming at though? Because that was in the middle of them.
I think those were some solid headshots heading for those kids.
Well, it went. If she was standing right in between them, and if the bullets went into her,
I think the shots both go right in between the kids.
Just trying to scare the kids?
He's like, shit.
But why do you shoot at children?
I can't
regardless,
aim for shit. He knew they weren't real kids.
Well, they're real in there,
maybe.
So pretty messed up. But so Wanda v. Hayward, who's the bigger villain?
Well, this is a fun That's one. My last note. Can we do one more? Okay.
Oh, good. No, that was the last thing I had on for this episode.
These townsfolk are mad as hell, and they should be.
Yeah, they damn well should be.
Looking at their faces. Oh, we finally got
Emma Caulfield's reveal.
Emma Caulfield was finally.
Sarah.
Man, what a
troll job. That was another. Yeah.
What a kick in the nuts, man! Like,
but that she was nobody.
She was just like somebody there. Like she's awesome.
So she was a witch, maybe.
She's clearly immortal and ageless. Like. Man, like that's it. That's the best.
I think she did like an interview with some magazine, and it was like a little worried about like being a red herring and the backlash and people being upset about it.
And that's something we can add to the overall, which I don't want to spend a ton of time on, but like
my list of red herrings,
is
mostly red.
They spent a lot of this. Both their media machine and the writers just trolled the shit out of us for like. And I don't think it's cute.
I don't want them to be so aware of the audience.
You know, if you've got actors going around, if Downey Jr. or ScarJo is saying something coy in the lead up to a movie, whatever, I don't mind that. That's fun. That's just having fun with the audience. But when you make red herrings very much part of a show that's not like a spy thriller, this isn't Homeland. So like I don't know why you felt the need to do so much empty misdirection is the only way to put it. Like it just pissed me off.
Devil's not the only place he is. Yes, you'll talk about Mephisto for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They literally. Here's what they should do if this same bunch of hacks these writers do another season. They should put a hashtag up at the bottom of the screen for what they want you to tweet about as soon as it's over. Like hashtag Mephisto, hashtag Reed Richards, hashtag. Oh, we thought maybe War Machine was going to throw it and be maybe that aerospace engineer. Hashtag
Armor Wars.
Oh God, what's his name?
Cheadle.
Don Cheadle, but Rhodey. James. Yeah, thank you. Hashtag that. Just do that because at that point you're not so much a show. You're just a social media engagement mechanism.
It's just
anyway. All right, sorry.
Smart on its own merit. But
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry because I've never been trolled so much in one season of television as they did in this.
We can talk a little bit about fault, but
anyway, okay.
So where did we? What was that point though?
Townsfolk is pissed.
Okay, I want to talk about. Are we going to see like an Earth Revengers? Because and this kind of leads into who's the bigger villain. But I feel like these people have to me, they're totally justified if there was a scene like sort of in game, like let's go get this Scarlet Witch,
right?
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, I mean, because what she did,
Oh, sorry, I'll let you. Yeah.
What happened in Lagos, right? Where it was, or what was the name of the fictional place?
Lagos, yeah.
Which is a real
save people.
That was an accident. She was saving all those people on the ground, and it just got away from her. This is much worse. Because you have to factor intent into it. So this was much worse.
As Agatha said, heroes don't torture people.
It blows my mind that Doctor Strange did not show up. Because that would have showed up and kind of ushered her off, like Professor X did in the House of M or whatever. And I got to help you get some control.
Doctor Strange,
she suffered.
Sacrificed.
Oh no!
Are you?
Oh, Monty.
What First of all, she conjured them into existence.
Sweet Jell-O. What are you saying?
Yeah, I had such. I was aghast.
They don't know what you sacrificed. You ruined their life because we don't know for sure.
You took them hostage. You were mentally torturing them while their minds were suppressed.
And her grand response is basically the dog gif in the flames. Everything's fine. That lady was like, "Could you please? You can make my daughter do whatever you want. Could you just please, or son, just let them out of their bedroom?" It's like you're a fucking monster.
You're like she's a major villain.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
That's which leads us to my man, acting director at S.W.O.R.D. This is from it's a watch that's from a prior administration. He's an acting director of S.W.O.R.D. Look, he's doing what needs to be done. He's trying to put these people in check. I'll be honest. He's not the villain. He's not. And they made him this little caricature, typical governmental villain that we don't like. He's not. He's trying to stop a terrorist who's kidnapped several hundred people and holding them against their will. Like, she's lucky Rainbow Six didn't show up and try and put a couple in her eyes. Like, he's just not. I'm sorry. And then what he did with Vision's body, that was going to happen. That was going to happen. Like, they weren't going to just let that thing go.
I think his line of I think that was legit. Like, you don't know what it took, what it was like keeping the lights on for 5. That's what I think. A lot of people are so glossed. I think that's one of the disservices the show did was they did not highlight. They've got to, and I don't think they're going to ever do it. They need to address what it was like for those 5 years for people who weren't the Avengers.
Because Spider-Man Far From Home, cute little intro, that ain't it. That was fun because that's the tone of the movie. And that was a little silly.
And I love seeing the blip in episode 4, getting to see the chaos.
Finally. So to these hacks,
that moment.
No, they're not hacks. To their credit, they did a brilliant job with that episode of giving us something, except for, early on in Endgame, because Endgame didn't hang with it a ton. Endgame gave it as much time as they had time to give it. But being the first Marvel property or, show/movie to give us some insight into what that was like. Major kudos to those writers.
Best scene of the series.
A strong word. I don't like being trolled.
Best scene of the series, for sure. For sure.
Best scene, best episode. Yeah. That was the best episode in the series.
There's some questionable dialogue, but
so for me, overall, it was that episode. It was this episode, 9. And then the Modern Family episode, or
7. Yeah. That was good. Yeah.
The magic trick stuff was fun early on. That was kind of neat, but those were my top 3. But anyway, he's not. Look, they made him
like he had reason. You gotta think. You're people, humans who don't have powers. You've got we all weirdly. Everyone seemed to be aware that this alien came and just messed a whole lot of stuff up, wiped out half of all living creatures, and you still live in this world. You've got superpower people who can kind of do what they want. Government entities are gonna probably have a reaction to this, Jesus. and when you take an entire town hostage, put a magical barrier around it, reshape it, and turn it into a living television show, maybe you need to do something about it. I think we would want someone to do something about it.
Yeah.
So,
imagine if it was your family member that was stuck in that.
You'd probably want the government to do something.
I want to take her out.
Yeah. Because she clearly was
I bet this shit will stop if you take her out.
And he's the one who gets arrested.
I mean,
it's pretty.
And then that silly little, Darcy pulls in and wrecks him. Like, you're not getting. I was like, why does he need to get away? He didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, what is he?
Those kids are not kids, and he knows they're not kids.
They're gone now, so he's like, who did I shoot at? Yeah.
Yeah, right. What are you gonna book me for? Shooting at ghosts?
Nothing. I mean, what did he? Yeah, I mean, to me, there's a major question of what's he going to jail for?
Here's the problem: he walks like a dick. He talks like a dick.
So
we're gonna have to assume he's a dick /
But does dick mean criminal?
It does not. He is a total asshole because the way he talks to people and the way he acts and his now I'll say where he's going to be in some trouble. Detaining an FBI agent.
Whoops. I meant can you just arrest FBI agents?
Right. Yeah. We had that note. Well, I don't think he's the villain. He's fired. He is fired because it got away from him.
He made a lot of mistakes.
He sent in a drone.
He didn't handle this well.
And don't get me started on how the drone booted up. We don't have time. There's NBA All-Star festivities on soon. I don't want to get into how that drone powered up White Vision.
It doesn't matter. It's really not worth it.
I just don't care. Are we about ready for overall?
So I think that's the episode. Look, I really enjoyed it. It was a hell of a good time.
It looked
an
amazing.
Aerial battle, the red wall, the power exchange. I mean, it was just fun.
And as always,
Vision, boom. I mean, that was just so cool. It was great.
And
seeing Monica get in the mix a little bit, it was cool.
And props to Catherine Hahn for, my goodness, it takes some real acting gymnastics to stop that character from becoming a silly cartoon character.
Because they even did a cartoonish.
They did
Wizard of Oz reference,
and they.
I appreciate.
She walked a fine balance. I thought her costume was way over the top, and I would have liked to have seen it a little more muted. But I get it. She's a witch. You want flowy things. All right, whatever. That's fine.
Wanda's not like that.
No, Wanda's just clean.
It's an Avengers outfit.
It's an Avengers outfit. It's pretty cool. It's very cool. So kudos to her. The kids, everybody in this show. Sparky, shout outs. Rest in power, Sparky. Everybody in this was on the top of their game.
Elizabeth Olsen was really
she
good.
Was really good.
Really good.
Bettany was the best. This was the best version of Vision there's ever been. I cannot wait to see what happens with White Vision. I'm so glad Bettany's still
Ghost Vision. I kind of like Ghost Vision.
Let's call him Ghost Vision.
I put that in my notes as Ghost Vision.
I'm just so glad he's not going anywhere. So
right.
Shouts to him. So
good for him. Man.
A solid episode to end with. It just further proves my point, though, that most of the character development that they did for them occurred in super, super small increments. This could have been an hour 40 movie, and you would have accomplished the exact same thing. Which, all in all, how long was this? Probably 6? 6 hours?
Probably close to it, yeah.
You could have
I think that was their goal, was 6 hours, so let's just say, it probably was 6.
For what I wanted. And look, while I like to act like I'm super impatient, I'm watching It's a Sin right now. I'm going back and watching The Nick. I don't need things exploding to keep my attention. I really don't. But
I'm watching Cobra Kai, which is a YouTube original.
Oh my God. We're going to talk about Cobra Kai soon. But,
It's a Sin. I actually quite like It's a Sin. It's a little heavy, but
It's boy.
You'll talk about grief. Yeah, you can get into some grief.
It's Euphoria without the lightheartedness. Okay, it's amazing.
It's rough, but it's good.
It's really rough, but it's good. It's great. So I don't need that. But here's again. I go back to this conversation I had with somebody, and then we'll hit the overall. I'm gonna grab a Topo Chico, but they're not paying me to say that, but they could. Love for them to. I talked to someone, and it blew my mind how happy and what it made them and how much they enjoyed those early.
It's like, well, I don't want to take the dump on it.
Right. Yeah, so I'm glad it happened for you. Sure. And I'm just going to leave it there.
It's there. You can always you can watch it forever.
And I've shit on it plenty. It's on YouTube.
What's great is they can go watch those episodes as much as I've watched in game.
They can.
And that's cool.
That's great. Yeah. All right. You ready to do the overall stuff?
I am. Yeah.
I'm a little dry mouth.
So overall, I think one of the main topics, and I'm just going to narrate here while wait for you to get back. Hey everybody, a little solo time for the Calster. So I think one of the biggest things we want to get into is expectations versus delivery, and I think there's a couple aspects to expectations, and it's like, what do we expect based on what we've seen, and then what do we expect based on the things, if you're super invested in Marvel, you may be reading industry kind of journalist tweets, or if you're like me, I watch an embarrassing and probably unhealthy amount of YouTube and like fan theories about where it's going.
It's definitely unhealthy.
And I think that plays a big part of it. And I think all of that there's another, maybe a smaller third aspect of expectations, which is, what do we expect the people at Marvel Studios to tell us, especially when there is a major vacuum of information about what's coming and what's going to be done. So, and then we can talk delivery, which is just, what do we actually get? So we have our expectations, we've got influencer expectations, and then I think expectations from Marvel Studios, which really sometimes maybe comes in the form of trolling. And then what do we actually get?
Here's my expectation. What I think makes the MCU get probably, I don't want to be that person that because they can't think of great ways to compliment, they just keep talking about what a technical feat. Oh, what a technical feat. And they say bullshit like, whoa. Oh, I don't have the capability to, I couldn't write that together. Look, guys.
You're breathing fire all of a sudden. I like it.
All right, but like if you're saying, oh, what a technical feat, you didn't like it. Okay, let's be real honest, because like, when we talk about a show, like a fun show, we really enjoyed industry. We're not going to go, oh, just a technical feat, the quick editing. Oh, no, we enjoyed the show. And so there's just, this is going to lead me into some other stuff, but like, if that's kind of what you're saying, I don't know. I want to circle back here. We're talking about, where did I even get started? Because my brain just exploded thinking about this.
If you just want to dive into like, I mean, what do you want to dive into?
All right, so our expectations. Here's what I was going to say.
No, I don't know.
Now I remember. I think one thing that made the MCU so great is that even the stuff that wasn't that great was lifted up by the fact that it's all connected. Maybe sometimes just it's not super, like maybe it's not like a massive connection, but like Ant-Man 2 is like, okay, that's fine. Oh wait, at the end he's stuck in there. That's the snap. Oh shit. Like,
I know we're going to see this. Like, we're going to come back to this.
Right. So it's just kind of lifted up by being part of a whole. That the whole is amazing, but some of the parts are just okay. And I think where the expectation was, I don't think that expectation is going to exist for the TV show, because I think if there had been more, if this show had 2 or 3 things, and I would have thought out of 6 hours, this would have been the case, that we're like, oh, they're going to have to address this, or, oh, this is going to be connected to something in one of the movies. I do think I would have felt differently about it.
Yeah. My expectation was at the beginning, a lot of the different forces out there had convinced me that would be the case, and that like, wow, they're really doing things. They're going to really go for it. And they're going to create this thing where you've got series to film, and it's just going to all feed together. And I thought, because I thought that, my expectations for the show were like, we're going to deal with what we've seen. We're going to deal a whole lot with what we've seen before in the MCU, and we're going to do some stuff that's definitely going to make us feel like wow, we got to deal with that.
Yeah, movies is TV, movies is TV. And that's the expectation.
I think that's part of the reason I have a negative feeling about this series. And when I said last, there's nothing that I could do to really save how I felt about the series. And that's still the truth. I really like this episode, the last episode, but my feeling doesn't change about the series because I just am so disappointed that look, I think there's disappointment in maybe some of the series and execution, but there's disappointment in the realization of what we're going to be getting.
Yeah.
And, something like Falcon Winter Soldier, I don't think I ever felt like, oh man, I can't wait to see how this does this. Like, to me, I always was like, this is just going to kick ass.
Yeah.
And that's just, I don't care what it's about. Maybe that's part of it. Like, I don't care what that's going to be about. I love these characters. I want to watch them do their stuff. And I think they banked on WandaVision. They really have sold, this is going to kick off the multiverse and this is going to kick into Doctor Strange because they know as well as we do. These are two characters that people just are not super invested in.
Yeah.
And I felt a little disappointed that y'all just kind of lied a little bit. So yeah. Sorry.
In addition to that, they sold an expectation.
Shouldn't say they lied. Sorry. They didn't lie. They just I think it's they said they set an expectation. Sorry.
You set an expectation and you clearly had no inclination toward meaning it. You're a liar, and they lied, and they did it. They did it to gin up press and to the same way they floated. I don't know how they got writers based on the screeners from the first 3 episodes to start talking about visually stunning, trippy, groundbreaking, innovative, all this stuff.
It was black and white.
It really wasn't. I mean, it was kooky.
What was visual? Sorry.
It was just kooky. I mean, it was satire, and it was
I appreciate on some level the let us play with genre, but man, that can't be your whole thing.
Well, that's
that
actually is kind of more before my head literally exploded and my brain exploded
for an hour and a half. It can't.
I have heard some people that want to just say, I don't like this. I don't think it was well made. Instead, because they worry about what happens in their Twitter mentions, they are saying things like, well, technically it was, I couldn't write what they've written, and they've walked such a thin line. And what are you talking about, man? They watched Malcolm in the Middle for 6-7 years, and they just said, let's just do it like Malcolm in the Middle. This was not.
Yeah.
They didn't just write There Will Be No Blood, guys. All they did was watch some sitcoms and mimic it. It's not hard. It's just not hard. And then every now and then have one of the characters be like, wait a minute. What's happening? Why you should not be here? Welcome back accent. It's not, this is not some technical victory for 2021 television. It's just not. It's like you people didn't watch Legion. All the praise that I saw hyped on this, I thought, well, this is going to be like Legion. I'm going to be staring back just maybe I don't know what's happening, but whoa.
Yeah, it's just candy for media consumption. Yeah. Yeah, this didn't really blow me away, technically. I had this thought, and I think this is a little cynical. I think the sitcom trope thing was because it's Disney, and I thought, if you really wanted to play with genre, wouldn't you have chosen films and done, cool little film, playing with genre from film? Because you're talking at that point, you could do things like found footage, or you could play again, they don't want to go into too much horror because they can't be too you could play with Paranormal Activity style.
Wait a minute, is it too on the nose for them to do Snow White, Little Mermaid, Mulan, Beauty and the Beast? Oh, I'm serious. They own the rights to all that stuff.
Yeah.
To me, that makes a lot more sense. If this all came out of a little girl's mind, then I guess I don't care if Sokovia is war torn or not. I don't know how this girl gets locked into the Dick Van Dyke Show or whatever the hell that was. Anyway,
that was her favorite, by the way. Yeah.
Sure it was. So, you silly guys. I could never write something like that. Jesus, then you should stop writing. So, yeah, all that was talking about expectations, and I think it suffered by not being part of a whole. And I think they're all going to suffer to an extent unless the shows just by themselves are a hell of a lot better than that was.
Talking about expectations, there was a quote from Kevin Feige. I think this was in the last couple of weeks And this actually kind of got on my skin a little bit. It's eased a little bit more since I first read it. I was kind of really.
This is my first time.
And this was something like good. I'm pretty sure this is accurate. I found it on a site that didn't look super reputable, so whatever. But I think this is a sentiment that we would all kind of can believe that he might say. So the quote was something to the effect of, "I believe we ended up going with what you saw relatively early on in the development process." This is with regards to Pietro, by the way.
It's pissing me off, man. Every time you bring that
here's
up.
the line that really is like, it's just another way that certain people were messing around with Wanda. I'm like, so what are you trying to tell me there? Like, are you trying to justify the fact that you just trolled us by using Evan Peters? Like, is that...
He is. He probably got some blowback, because if you're just trying to mess with Wanda, then he should have looked like...
nobody.
Well, what's his name? He should look like the damn actor then. Because,
or how about just some rando that, if it was just a random person that lived in Westview, why in the world would you?
Because Evan Peters in the world of the MCU means nothing to Wanda.
Right.
The only people it means anything to is us, and you're just trolling us because you want.
And there was no multiverse.
You want 1,000 bloggers and 10,000 YouTubers to do videos and theories about is Magneto actor.
Fassbender.
Is Fassbender going to now be Magneto? Is there going to be a multiverse where everything from the Foxes is? And are we going to see the Fantastic Four, or will Spider-Man interact with James McAvoy? Or God help us, are they going to wheel out Gandalf?
See, that's weirdly everybody
and Jean-Luc Picard for one more damn right. Would y'all stop with that shit?
On like, are we going to get? I can't think of his
Jean-Luc Picard and Ian McKellen.
Are we going to get y'all? Those movies suck. Maybe we need to do a whole podcast about how bad. Quit convincing you. Those X-Men movies were terrible. They were garbage, especially the Singer ones. And I don't really want to talk about them because I kind of hate them.
God,
but even though I love Hugh Jackman, but like, God, those are bad.
It's like these old commercials that talk about the good old days.
And now
they weren't that good.
Now all of a sudden it's been judged up that like Feige was like an associate producer back in those days that helped bring some of that stuff to life. Because everybody, I thought forever everybody was like, well, I thought we were all in agreement those movies were bad. And all of a sudden it's like, well, I guess
we're not.
Must have been good.
Oh, there's not agreement over it.
That's wild.
And I grew up on Xbox, and I thought it was neat that they did it, but every time I left the theater, to a varying degree, with the one exception of X-Men First Class, I thought, they're not taking this seriously.
And the people who had done the ones previous had nothing to do with that one.
Anyway.
And then the people who did the previous ones got back involved because they saw how successful it was.
Yes!
And they made them terrible.
Simon Kinberg, right? He makes an amazing X-Men movie for the first time ever. I don't care what you say.
Now, did he
the
direct
first
it?
Great X-Men movie. Yeah, that was him.
I didn't think I thought he wrote it.
Did he write it? It was
I think his directing was maybe not bad.
The director.
But yeah, while you looked it up, yeah, I mean, like, I think, and then after that, it's like, I think, I just said his name, Singer got back involved. Like, oh, gross. God. Not only is he a piece of shit, but I'm sorry. Yeah, he probably is a piece of shit.
Matthew Vaughn did it. Matthew Vaughn.
Okay, should have done all of them. I can't remember. I'm thinking somebody. Is he canceled? The Singer canceled right now?
Can we just go ahead and cancel him even if he's not?
I don't
know. Making shitty movies?
Is he
Stop. Usual Suspect had a cool ending. Enough. Stop giving him more deals.
Maybe I should.
It was one movie.
Should I worry? Maybe I should apologize for the piece of shit.
Kyle, we have no sway with anyone.
Okay, good.
Cancel the Easter Bunny. We can say whatever. It doesn't matter. Nobody's listening to us.
I just don't know if like on YouTube, can I call somebody a piece of shit if I don't know if they aren't?
It's up to them to prove that they're not.
Okay. Who knows, people? So
but Bryan Singer's a piece of shit.
His movies are not good. So whatever.
Damn it! There goes that spec script I had sent into Bryan Singer's studio. Darn it! It was finally giving oh God, what's the shapeshifter's name in X-Men?
Oh, Rebecca Romaine Stamos?
Right, well I could have done that. What's the Mystique?
Yeah.
I had a script that would finally give
weird I didn't say Jennifer Lawrence.
Right? Well, I had a script for a six movie plan to finally give Mystique some run in the X universe where she would be the star. It would be 6 movies. It would all be Mystique because, as we all know, she is basically the leader.
Critical foundation.
Yeah, most critical ever.
Gosh. Oh my god.
We'll save that one. We'll save that one.
How did we even get on the digression of
We're talking about Evan Peters, and that
There's we didn't get.
You were talking about Kevin. Do you feel trolled? I think that was part of the expectation.
We didn't touch multiverse.
Get back to my notes.
We didn't touch introducing mutants. We didn't touch any of it. This was a contained story. It's not going to bleed much. Here's the way if you could maybe make an argument, and it'll be one of those things where would help set up Doctor Strange. Maybe that'll be in retrospect kind of thing. If her actions now as the Scarlet Witch and getting into the Darkhold, something will happen at the start of that film. And then the way that you could say that, I guess, that this set that up is that we saw her become that at the end. But it's not like we saw her do something at the end of the show that's going to lead in to Doctor Strange.
We saw her finally be able to rest and sit back and watch the sunrise just over a Grateful West view.
After what she did, wild.
Reading the book of dead with no consequence. And for some reason, doing the astral projection thing for absolutely.
While she's conscious?
She's by herself.
Is that supposed to be a bad sign that she's doing it while she's conscious?
Oh, are we getting a little split action?
Maybe, yeah, that's what I was trying to think. Because he was doing it when he was asleep. So that's one thing I was is that bad that she's doing this?
That's just another Doctor Strange winking a nod. That's all that was. Okay. But as Raven Burner on Twitter said, talking about expectations, she was like, I think a lot of y'all, basically, I'm paraphrasing and she can, correct me, but it was a lot of the people that are a little perturbed about how this season went, partially is because of the expectations that were set by Disney and Kevin Feige and everybody else that went running around saying what it would be. All right, and that's as much as I don't like paraphrasing the few people that interact with the show because I don't want to get them wrong. But I thought that was a good point. So
yeah,
what did you want to hit in terms of overall? Because I think when we talked about mutants, was there anything else you wanted to add? Because I think it's obvious mutants have never set foot in anything we've seen thus far. They want clean. They want to flush it's going to be a clean entry.
Yeah, I think. And this is what I feel like I knew better. I just didn't want to believe. I wanted to believe they were going to give me something really unexpected.
Kyle, it just proves.
But you're right.
It proves. I'm so sorry. Let me just say because I want you to react to this. It just proves how little they really intend for these to interact. All right, real clear. We've had one series. It wasn't even supposed to be the first series launched. Is there a possibility I'm leaping over the gun? Sure. That said, I think it's telling that they're going to use Ant-Man 3 to introduce Kang, and they didn't even what did they didn't introduce really anything on this season.
To me, it's who cares what happens in an Ant-Man movie? And that's a great point. It's if you're only willing to introduce him in an Ant-Man film, wow, because I couldn't care less.
If that's where if that's where their stature is, it's oh, you're below Ant-Man. Yikes.
Because I couldn't care less what happens in Ant-Man films.
No.
I mean, look, everybody connect, do you really think, other than the fact that it was Scott Lang, did it really matter that you saw what happened at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp and then Endgame? Did it really matter?
Not really.
Not really? I mean, I guess a little.
You could have YouTube clipped that. Somebody could be like, hey, man, you need to know what Ant-Man got into right as
But did it matter that you knew, did it really make any difference knowing that Hank Pym is all this exploration of the quantum realm? Did the quantum realm make any difference? No, because they just said, Tony Stark just said, whoosh, time travel solved. And it doesn't matter.
He said shit.
What?
He said shit.
Yeah. He just did it. And he didn't have a conversation with Scott Lang about, tell me about Hank Pym's musings on the quantum realm. No, they don't do things that way. And I'm just now I knew this and I didn't want to believe that's how they approach these things. And it's okay they do it. It makes for probably better films, to be honest. But yeah, sorry, that's just an digression.
Are you telling me you don't remember that Lawrence Fishburne had a main role in an MCU movie?
Yeah.
Poor guy. He's a national
and you
treasure.
Had a villain that wasn't another villain that wasn't a villain, and blah blah.
So I liked her a lot. I was very much hoping Ghost would
Ghost in the comics. Holy crap! Yeah.
No, I won't get
Ghost in the comics is kind of, very prominently featured in Dark Reign, especially with the Thunderbolts.
Wait, that's Ghost?
That creepy.
That is her. I'm reading those comics.
With Thunderbolts?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the same character?
That's the same character, I think.
That's not the same character. Holy shit!
That character is messed up.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, sorry. So just to wrap up, in terms of that, like, we'll see. We'll see if they've got the cojones to actually put cinematic stakes in the TV show.
And I'm not even go so far as to say that you won't hear the term mutants. Would I say there's a chance you hear the term mutant first in Falcon and Winter Soldier? It's a possibility, but it's not going to be significant to the point where
it's not a possibility.
I'm just saying, like, it won't even matter even if they do, because it's only going to really be important in a film. Like, they're not going to expect you to watch a film later and be like, oh, I knew this all relies on the fact that I watched Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I'll say
they're going to make sure you understand it from the beginning of a film, not from a show.
Probably. And maybe you would say that this is like an exception. Like Endgame, you wouldn't know what Infinity War, you wouldn't know what's going on if you hadn't watched some other stuff. Are you trying to say that you think their movies?
Oh, no.
I think they're beyond their movies, except for origin movies. You can watch them in a vacuum.
No, I think you got to watch to understand. But like, I don't think they're going to expect you to be like, even if they introduce the idea of what a mutant is, or if they say, hey, it's a mutant, and Falcon Winter Soldier, because they're going to Madripoor, and there's like major connections with that place and the comics and mutants, and it kind of being like a haven. But like, I just don't think that when it comes time for the next film that's going to deal with mutants, they're not going to expect you to like. They're going to make sure you understand what you're dealing with in the context of the film. And that's not to say that, look, the course of Falcon Winter Soldier, there are going to be major changes to those two characters by the end of the series.
Here's the other interesting
thing.
But
like, is it going to be a major departure from where you think they're going at the end of Endgame? Probably not.
Every other series planned is centered around some OGs. Like, that's the other thing that's interesting to me is
WandaVision.
Not really.
Age of Ultron.
Yeah, but we just Bucky
has been around since phase 1, so yeah.
Right, and so is Hawkeye, and so is Loki, and so like, I think there may be a difference too. Like I'll give them this credit. No one wanted a WandaVision show. I don't think anybody was asking for that. Nobody
like before it was announced. No, like I gotta get this.
I would love to explore those two. So I will say. One and then I'm going to jump into one thing, then we can stop, and we can finish covering stuff. I will say this: those two characters are much more interesting now than they were before episode 1 of WandaVision. Mm-hmm. So that is a success. So there you go. There's some credit.
I'm very eager to see them next. Yeah, I really am.
Okay, I guess the last thing I want to get into is this whole idea and this silly little not certain TV critics. I'm not going to even say certain. People who cover TV have wrapped themselves up in knots, like trying to deal or cover this show. I've heard some crazy shit, everything from like it's become like Game of Thrones to in terms of like what it's become in the pop culture. No, dude. No, it hasn't. There's nowhere even close to the number of people watching this show. And I'm not saying that means Game of Thrones was great. I'm just saying from pure data, no.
It's not that kind of phenomenon.
My problem is they get so wrapped up in how do we even, as you were saying earlier, how do we even approach it? And like I said earlier, if you're saying shit for it's good for what it is, it's great for what it is, that's on you for not. There's some really good stuff in MCU that's just good stuff. It's not good comic book stuff. It's just good stuff. And
most scenes with Cap and Iron Man interacting with each other, just great content.
So if you find yourself saying that a lot, then just stop covering it. Just stop covering it,
because it's really disingenuous to hold yourself as if you're it's someone who covers prestigious content, and you're like trying to reframe Wanda in that lens, but you're only actually covering it because it's wildly popular.
Yeah, you just want the clicks, man.
It's not Game of Thrones, but it's still very popular. So like,
sure it is.
There's a gap there, but it is still very popular. And at least just be honest. Like, look, we're covering this because it's pop culture and people are digging it.
Yeah.
But don't like this weird thing of like trying to put it through a lens of like you're covering The Leftovers or
they're being so condescending. And even when they try and walk back, it's just dripping in condescension. And so I guess that's kind of what I wanted to say is like, if you just want to talk about prestige TV And by the way, I would argue against the fact that comic book characters can't be prestige TV or but
just because some of these storylines don't necessarily always fit into certain aspects of what's popular to talk about in culture,
right? Because I'll tell you what, WandaVision it did deal a little bit with grief, and this is kind of what I want to get. That quote, Vision's quote, "What is grief if not love? What is love but except for like what grief if not love persevering? Something like that. I butchered. There you go. It's not that. It's actually it's a decent line. Now, this is such a great framework.
Is it only Shakespeare if it's delivered by a character with a different background or like not associated with comic books? Sorry, where you're going with that.
Well, no. So I guess what I would say is if this was a narration by Zendaya in Euphoria, and someone tweeted out,
which we love, by the way.
Oh God, I love that. I love that show. If someone tweeted that Euphoria with her saying that and said something like, writers everywhere just said, damn, I can't keep up with that. Everybody'd be cool with that. They'd have no problem with that. But because the people who are again, they're the people that say prestige TV like 5 times a day.
And because Vision said it?
Because an android on a Marvel property said it, they feel empowered to be condescending. Now, the other thing, though, is the rabid Marvel fans that say they can do no wrong and they will come for you, which is what happened to a certain pod that we listened to. They said what they meant. They maybe didn't love how they went about it, but even their mea culpa was pretty tepid. And people got in their Twitter mentions, so they walked it back. Look, if you want to make fun of people, of little Marvel fans who are acting like that's the greatest line that's ever been written in a script not called Citizen Kane, then make fun of them because that's a little deserved. On the other hand, to act like that line, because it didn't pop up on It's a Sin or some show like that, to act like to belittle it and make fun of people who think it's a good line, you're also being a dick.
Yeah.
And so I think the truth is somewhere in between.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to describe this whole situation of how people talk about WandaVision and where they're coming from. It's like,
did you
talk about it or don't?
Did you like it?
You either like it or you don't. Just give it a sincere take. And like I was saying, you kind of hit on. Look, maybe I don't necessarily want to dunk on people, and like I said, I kind of feel bad. As soon as I'm not saying that. I think there is some talk about. Sorry, I probably shouldn't come back.
You can't let this Bryan Singer thing go.
Maybe he has some questionable stuff, but it's like, why am I saying
Kyle,
piece of shit?
Dunk on him.
I'm just saying, like
Scottie Pippen, stand over him.
What I'm saying,
tell him
or
about
like
it.
AI on Allen Iverson over
Practice. Ted Lasso.
No, the step over.
Step over Tyronn. I want you to do that.
Like, why am I saying that? I don't know. Like, I'm not involved in this. I don't need to be calling people, pieces of shit. Their work may not be good.
So much nicer.
And so I think that applies to this Twitter because I had a problem when I listened to that pod. This was from Monday, and I was like, man, that's kind of shit. Like, I don't remember exactly what they called it, but they did read that quote from that tweet. I was like, all right, well.
Oh, they
carved him up. I'm like, well, damn. And then I was like, because it wasn't pretty good. Is it Shakespeare? No, but it's still pretty good. And you're only doing it because you think you're like superior to Marvel Studios content.
What it did is
I like some of the prestige TV they talk about. I like a lot of it.
I do too.
But I also don't.
They put me onto a lot of stuff.
But I don't have this feeling where I'm like, it has to be one or the other. Like, I absolutely am of the mind that Marvel Studios content, man, there are moments when I get just as emotional, if not more so, when I watch this when I do prestige TV, not WandaVision specifically, but you give me some in-game scenes or some Infinity War scenes or like some of that stuff where they, you get the swelling music and you see these characters you've been watching for 10 years and all these movies, and you see this, gets me kind of chills just thinking about it. Actually, we're watching now. It's meaningful. The big when everybody comes up to help Cap out.
Oh, symbol.
Like that's, and it's not even the line. It's everything that's led to that moment. And
Scarlett Johansson, every scene she had in Endgame. So
God, her scene with Cap when they're talking about like maybe it doesn't need to be done. It's like who's gonna do like this is my family.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like that's emotional and that's just as deep as anything I've seen in prestige TV. So I just have a huge problem with the condescension, but because I like both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. But yeah, like I said to you, like if you wanted to dunk on somebody for giving a preposterous tweet, like I'll laugh. But at the same time, like, good for, you know what? Maybe it's meaningful to them. Maybe that touched a very specific note for that person. Maybe not. Maybe that person was also being disingenuous. So who's to say, right? Like, that person also could have been smelling their own farts. But
sure. What's a dumb thing to say? Like, okay, to quote tweet a line from Vision, that it was a good line, but then to act like every screenwriter on the planet's like I should just stop writing because they just wrote the greatest thing ever. That's a stupid sentiment.
To me, it was more about the scene. I actually think that's meaningful to talk about that scene and how impactful that scene is. In an episode that I did not like, with a just wasted moment after wasted moment of, I thought a lot of it was just redundancy of things we literally already knew. And from Civil War, I knew they had this interaction, this relationship.
I could have done.
I knew that they had this thing where he was walking through a wall and they clearly were getting close. I loved that moment. Yeah. Oh my God. That's what I love about the MCU. It's the character moment.
I could have done with a lot more of those in this show. Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
No,
we got a little, but I think we've thoroughly hit that point.
I'm not done with it. I'll come back to it at some point later. I'm really pissed off. I don't like, if you don't like something, it just pisses me off. If you don't like it, be
honest about why you're covering it.
Be honest. Exactly. Because you know that's what everybody's talking about. They're not talking about, what is it, the French tragedy-romance genre from the 1960s that you so love. Shut up, dude. Like, just go take an IQ test and post it online if you want to, but, like, we all get it. You know, what is Gandolfini's line from Zero Dark 30?
We're all smart, Jeremy.
Yeah, like...
Because they gave the same treatment to Mandalorian. They clearly also didn't love talking about it, but they could talk about Jon Favreau, so that made it a little better.
They want to talk... They know they have to talk about it, but they don't have to. It's their show. But it's just all the caveats they drop, all the little bits of condescension. You have to understand how much I dislike the coverage. For me, I do not think this was that good of a show. I thought it was, like I said, just fine. Would be, about 3 out of 5 stars.
Like, I won't watch it again.
I'll never come back to this, and that's.
I'm not mad. Like, I'm okay that I watched it, but I have no interest in like. I won't be treating this like The Office or something. Like, it ain't gonna be getting run.
In their defense, few are, but like,
I mean, the Marvel movies are.
They
for
are.
Me.
They are. They are. But it's odd that after it's all over, I find myself. I'm also not defending it because I'm a Marvel stan. Like, obviously, I love Marvel stuff. But like, Jesus Christ, trying to compare because you couldn't handle your Twitter mentions, so now you're talking about it like it has to be covered like Game of Thrones was covered. I feel like Jennifer. Wait, what is that? Are you out of your mind?
Well, like a treatise on. We'll have to consider whether we should. Just don't cover it then. Like,
look, Scorsese, turn it off. Yeah. Shut up. I watched your.
You guys covered the head, by the way. This segment, which I quite like. We need to talk about the head.
It's shit, but it's fun.
It's bad, but God, I love that show.
And they talked about it multiple times. So, like, look, man, just and we can close, but like. All Martin Scorsese makes, or 90% of what he makes, are crime dramas. So, cool. And he's a hell of a filmmaker. Aviator was great. So that's obviously one that's outside of that.
Tent guy.
But
he's
like
a big tent filmmaker his whole career.
Well,
right?
I just think his
films are amazing.
I think it's a bit too cute for someone like Martin Scorsese, who almost exclusively lives within one subgenre.
Oh, you're one of the people who have come from Marvel.
To act Marvel's ruining. Well, what do you want? Because I could argue that if you keep doing what you're doing, the only thing we're going to get is gangster movies every fucking year.
I'd be bored to tears if everything was like Departed. I love Departed.
What if it was like The Irishman?
Oh.
Yeah, come on.
I hated that film. So yeah.
I liked it fine.
I really didn't like it. I was so miserable. It took me 4 sessions to watch that.
It's a 4-episode Netflix series. It's not a movie. And I don't really like the aging stuff.
Yeah, to me,
anyway,
I would just say,
I'm way off track.
The last episode was good. This pretty much ended about. It took me about halfway through this season to realize where I was going to end up on this. Didn't love it. Don't hate it. It's just kind of vanilla ice cream. It's fine. Some people really love vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, shout out to Courtney Tips. Sometimes she's on this show.
And that's good. Like, enjoy it. Maybe try some sprinkles every now and then. Whatever. If you just like it plain, then good for you.
It's good. It's fine.
I love these. I love the performances that Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany gave. And I wish I need to learn her name. Monica Rambeau. I need to learn her. Tayana.
Oh, did you jump into a name without practicing? Did you?
Yeah. Do you know it?
Let me say it.
I don't have it.
Oh wow, good for you. Oh no, I'm terrible with names.
Tayana Paris. Oh, I was okay. I felt like Paris wasn't. I was like, that's not Paris.
It's not that hard.
I was pretty. Yeah, I was close. I should have trusted my gut. Wow, what a. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's her debut, but like in terms of like a major, I've never seen her in anything. She was phenomenal. Yeah. I can't wait to see Monica Rambeau and more stuff. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Hayward Gilmore. I don't know.
The director?
No, Hayward. Yeah,
I think he'd be a nice guy. He's been cool. Anyway,
I think the actors did a great job.
All right.
And so there's good in this, but it's just we didn't.
There's good in
Before we wrap up, we need to wrap. I know we're an hour 15, which I thought this would be a long one. We did not talk about
WandaVision. Bye bye. Shout out to Steve White. We got you.
Thank you.
Your feelings are noted.
Yep.
Just that one. Yeah.
So there we go. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's good. There's a feeling of relief to be done with it.
All right. What were you going to say? And then we'll wrap up.
We didn't talk about the exposition dumps.
Oh, well, I did a little when Agnes, said, but no, okay.
This was a serious issue.
Cover this, because
it felt, I mean, with the first three episodes.
Set the table a little, because it's going to happen in Marvel. It's exposition.
It happens in everything a little bit. But, like, the first three episodes, that was purely the genre playtime. Like, so you didn't get as much then. We didn't get much of anything, really. I mean, you could say little Easter eggs here and there, but guess what? The Easter eggs didn't come to fruition for the most part. So we don't have to talk about that. Once episode 4 was our first real introduction to them. Just like, I felt like the writers of the show were just literally called me on the phone and were like telling me things. Like I don't know. We talked about this, but
it should have been an email, not a segment on their show.
When there's moments when they're just like, well, when Thanos came and did this, and and then like later, they're just talking about Thanos and the snap, and then later when Jimmy was like, well, I would argue Captain Marvel did that when she nearly took out Thanos and the ship, and because Monica's like, she Wanda took on Thanos and nearly killed him herself. And it's just like,
my money was on Marvel. We had it live. I bet on Bovada.
Did y'all watch? Is there a DVD? Do y'all also get to watch an Avengers Endgame? Like, even in universe?
It's just a documentary in their universe.
It's so weird. Like,
it's a documentary with incredible access.
We've never heard characters talk this way, and it's literally just writers like narrating what has happened in the MCU.
Some of that, that is unfortunately sometimes, not always, that is a strong comic book influence.
Yeah.
That they really should just put his lines in a box up in like a text bubble. So, it gets tough. I actually thought their little discussions about Endgame were interesting.
It's interesting, but
the Agnes,
is there a
they what is the line in Multiplicity about rule thing? Bend it, we damn near broke it.
Broke it off.
That's what happened.
Is there a way to show don't tell with some of that though? Like, there has to be a slightly more subtle way to do it. To show me, because I know what they're trying to. They want to show me that yes, the world is aware of what happened, and that's fine. But like, could you tell me something that does look like it's literally been lifted from the screenwriter notes from the Avengers script?
You could have Jimmy Woo's kids like dressed up at Halloween. One's as Captain Marvel, and I guess you wouldn't be dressing up like Thanos if you're. Yikes. But he's like, oh, you almost got him. Just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm really God help me. Don't let me write anything.
I just wonder, like, if I were on the writing staff, I feel like I would be compelled to be like, can we make this a little bit less on the nose? Like, Or maybe you don't have time. Well, it's fine.
It's fine.
I'm not a writer.
The Agnes one is,
and hers were. I don't think hers were worse than that. That stuff really was cringy to me. But then you had the scene with Darcy and Vision of the Van where it was more. Well,
she watched you die.
She watched you die twice. First, she blew you up, and then Thanos took the Mind Stone out, and
that's tough. Because he needs to know.
He does need to know.
But we know, and we're the ones watching the show, so you got to figure out, just have him see it. I don't know how he sees it, but apparently you have footage of everything that happened.
What if he goes to Wanda and Wanda, I need you to show me what happened.
Yeah,
could she do some kind of? She has telepathy. So anyway, again, I'm not a writer, and maybe they didn't have time. They're doing a lot. I get it, but can we please? I don't want to feel like the writers are talking to me. It really makes me feel uncomfortable. And then you're right. So the Agnes stuff was quite bad. You talking about the dungeon dialogue.
That was brutal, man. Most of her dialogue in that episode was tough.
Her saying her own name as if it matters. Agatha Hart, Agatha Harkness. Nice to meet me.
Jesus, evil Michael Scott.
Y'all know that there are a lot of people who haven't read. Even people who read comics haven't read the. No one. A lot of them don't know. Oh wow, Agatha Harkness. That means nothing. I guess
I didn't expect them to own. I know we got to stop, but I just did not.
Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't expect them to lean into the witch stuff so heavily. I really didn't see. I did not see that coming.
There you go.
And I think there's a lot of people, the super casual MCU person, that probably got to the end of this and what are
you doing?
The burning witch. What is happening?
Salem witch trials?
Yeah. Where's Thanos? Obviously we know.
Because then all I'm thinking is. Here's the problem when you go to a weird place like that. I'm thinking, so what happens if Agatha Harkness tries to roll up on Thanos? What happened? How's that go down?
Does she have runes or no runes?
Yeah, right.
Runes fix everything.
But there was some dialogue. You had what was the dialogue of hers? Because I think it probably got to you a little more.
So you were
a baby witch.
A baby witch with the powers of the Mind Stone.
Yeah. So their retcon was they were again the writers were here's our retcon. You ready for it?
She literally should have just gone, here's the official timeline story of Wanda. And then they just they'll play some music and do some silly little 50s cartoon to show it. Fine, whatever, man.
So there's more. I don't want to hit too many more, but I just thought it was a pretty consistent thing when we weren't in sitcom mode. The exposition was just super, like you said, documentary style.
Yeah.
It was kind of extreme.
Yeah.
And look, and the reason I bring this up is I don't remember ever noticing this in a Marvel Studios film. We all know they've lived in this world where they're aware of everything that's happened.
Right.
And I just won't ever know. Maybe it's happened and I just didn't.
No, they've never leaned into that. Just to keep repeating myself, they've never leaned into discussing, I don't think, past events. Other than an Endgame, and obviously in Far From Home. So maybe it's a post-Endgame kind of thing that they're just going to do. And it makes sense because 9/11 is probably still discussed in the zeitgeist in this country.
In the show, they didn't. That hospital, you didn't hear people saying, "Did we just get snapped back? Did we just get?" No, they just showed us. That's what I mean. That was brilliant.
Yeah. When he snapped his fingers on that gauntlet, is this the result of what he did? Anyway, and this is the last thing I'll say.
That was a big one I wanted to talk about.
I'll say something else to a lot of the TV critics that are just pissed. It didn't deserve being talked about as much as it was, so you don't have to do it.
Yeah. We just talking about. I'm going to watch Marvel content.
Yeah.
I'm always going to watch it, so we're going to talk about it. But
a lot of the few people that watch this show get into Marvel, so I'm going to talk about Marvel, and I watched it too. So yeah, we'll have when does Falcon and Winter Soldier drop? Do you know?
What up this month? I think later.
God help you if you Google while we're streamcasting.
Does it not? Does it mess things up?
It's a 2003 MacBook, so who knows what'll happen.
March 19th, I believe. Is that a day after Justice League? The Zack Snyder Justice League?
Oh God, we're gonna need about 13 hours talking about that behemoth. Yeah, March 19th. So what is that? What's today? So that's a week from this Friday. Very cool. Awesome. I hope. I don't know what I hope. I'll say this: my expectations. I will. It's probably unfair to Wandavision. I will probably enjoy all the other shows that come after more than I did that because
Can't wait for Loki.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
We all got wasted on Endgame. We did a Bloody Mary the next morning with Far From Home.
Yeah.
You know.
And then just Wasteland.
And then
the desert of
And then this show that clearly was supposed to be a very intimate, quirky deal had the unenviable task of having to be the next thing we all drink.
We were supposed to have Black Widow and Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and that's tough, man. That's hard.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I agree with kind of the folks we keep talking about. This was a big load for this show to have to carry. I thought they were just...
It did okay.
It did all right. It did okay. All right. That's all I got. I'm going to watch some dudes dunk.
Yeah. And we'll have probably a servant.
Oh, we will.
Yes,
yeah, we're just going to save it. I think that was best done in like 2. And it's about done, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, that show just keeps... They just keep serving up.
I don't care. If I ever get any answers, it can go on forever and ever. Just # let Sean cook.
All right.
What happened to Peace?
Peace.